and welcome to Via Metanoia. My name is Brittany, and we are back for part 3, hopefully the last part of 31 things I learned in 31 years. I'm trying to make this YouTube thing a little bit easier for me. I had a goal of, I had a certain amount of videos I was trying to make for my channel, and I already hit that goal. Well, I think I'm counting the shorts too. I think content in general for YouTube. So it might be different for videos if I was to look at the number. But I think I'll make a separate video for like my goals for YouTube as a small YouTuber. But anyways, I digress. Let's focus back on the point of this video. We are back finishing up my list of 31 things I learned in 31 years. For anyone that doesn't know, well, most everybody, my birthday was in November. So I've been 31 for about almost 2 months now. So still a good little window of things that I've learned. I might do this again at the end then it'll be 32. No, would it be 32? Isn't that like what came first, the egg or the chicken? Like when I turn 32, does that mean like that? You know what? Anyways, the first thing, the 21, right? 21 is rest is the most important thing ever. Okay. Funny enough, it is 4:06 a.m. I have been up since like 2-ish, maybe. I had to be a mom in the middle of the night, and I you know when you wake up and you're like a little sleepy, and you're like, oh, let me hold on to this little bit of sleep, baby. Let me hold on to this little bit of sleep. I let that sleep go. And I just been up. I've been wide awake. So I'm a little tired, but I have to stay up anyway. Gotta get myself ready for the day. Then I gotta get my kids ready for the day. So I might as well, I can't go back to sleep. I know it's 4, but we up now, okay? So 21 is rest is the most important thing ever. Okay, ironic. 2020 was the year I realized that I needed rest. I realized I was not prioritizing it. It was what I thought was going to be the beginning of my new life after leaving that abusive relationship that I've been talking about. I thought that was going to be the last time that I left. What was so crazy about that time was what my body went through after leaving that relationship. I felt like I was going insane. Not to mention, at the same time, I was becoming more aware of familial cycles in my family. I was becoming more aware of certain patterns that I was experiencing with my family, and seeing how those things paralleled in my relationship and with my family at the same time. It was very jarring, to say the least, all at once. I thought my body was shutting down. I thought my heart was going to give out on me. I thought I was dying. And then when the pandemic happened a few months after that, that was just like the rotten cherry on top. My body was doing its best to return to its baseline after I left that relationship. And I didn't know that. I didn't understand what my body was going through. But during that time after I left that relationship, not even when I left, it was like before I decided to break up with this person, because things were happening in the relationship that I did not understand. I was always confused. And I don't remember how. This is why I don't think I've said this, but that relationship unlocked a different level of my spirituality, because I cannot recall how I ended up researching the things that I did about this relationship. I just became aware of it. It feels like, even though I know I've researched it, and I remember vividly researching things and coming across something about narcissism and narcissistic relationships. And I'm just like, what is this? And I remember I shared something with this person, that like a video that I watched, because I'm like, I want to have dialogue. I want to understand why these things keep happening in this relationship. I want to understand why you do the things that you do. I want to understand why our dynamic is the way that it is. Like, maybe this is something that we can work through together. Like, literally, I was willing to work with that person through anything, and I never got that in return. But like, I was okay with that because I also came across a guy who is actually a diagnosed narcissist who brings awareness by talking about his diagnosis, by talking about the things that he's been through, the things that he's done, and helping people. Like, his name is Mental Illness. He's really cool. So I'm like, if he can become aware and do better, so it sounds like I'm diagnosing the person I was in an abusive relationship with. I can't diagnose that person. I'm not a professional. I don't have the training to do that. I don't have the qualifications. I don't have any of that. So I'm not diagnosing them. I will say that they displayed certain behaviors that were very concerning. So his behavior supported what I was reading, what I was seeing and reading, or what I was reading and seeing and learning supported what I was experiencing. So they aligned with each other every time. So I was just like, okay. And I want to talk more about narcissism and narcissistic relationships in a separate video, because I also learned that everybody is narcissistic. It's almost like a spectrum, though. There's like these people should not be around other people. I say that loosely because I don't want to offend anyone. But there are some people who displayed narcissistic behavior, even like at its worst, and they're still not narcissistic, because there are things you have to check off to be considered a narcissist. It's not just like, oh, they act like a narcissist, they must be a narcissist. No, that is a whole thing. You have to it's a whole diagnosis. It's a whole process. So I can't even say, I can't hypothesize that, not hypothesize. Would that be a hypothesis? Brittany? I can't say what this person is. I actually just say what I experienced, and they displayed this kind of behavior. And from what I was experiencing at first, being very confused, being very traumatized, being very stressed out, being very exhausted, I did not feel like myself anymore. And then I came across this information, and I was just like, this is what I'm experiencing. And one woman in particular, this channel that I came across called Daylight Out of Darkness. She no longer posts content on social media. I don't think she does anything anymore. Her page is empty. All of her videos have been privated or deleted. And looking at it right now, she is a certified life coach specializing in narcissistic personality disorder, the different manifestations of narcissistic abuse on others, and the many implications narcissistic abuse has on the victims. She talks a lot about that, and one video in particular, I think it was 2 videos that she made, it was about what the body goes through after you leave a narcissistic relationship. And it helped me so much. I wish the video was still available. I wish her channel wasn't cleaned out, because she's one of the, besides mental illness, she is one of the people that really helped me out. And there's another guy, his name is Quinn Holiday. He also helped me a lot. And there's a few other people in there helped me out in understanding what I was experiencing. Am I a narcissist? I had to ask myself, am I tripping? I felt crazy. I was like, is it me? It was insane. Funny story. Crazy enough, I kid you not. This is why sharing our stories is so important, and what we went through and what we learned. So on this journey of figuring out what it was that I was going through and trying to understand, what was happening and what was going to happen to me. I'm on Quinn Holiday's channel. I literally remember vividly sitting on my bed in my other apartment, and it was dark in the room, and I'm on my phone watching one of his videos. And I always went through the comments because reading people's stories and reading people's real comments. I mean, he's a real person too, Quinn. But like seeing other people like, yeah, I dealt with this from my narcissist, and how everybody had a different, like they call them their narcissists. Again, we cannot diagnose people. Like we can know that we experienced narcissistic behavior, narcissistic abuse, because there is a whole like guideline to identifying it. And I'm so glad there's so many people talking about it and documenting things like this so people know that they're not alone, because from what I understand, not many people are diagnosed, because the thing about people with narcissistic personality disorder, they don't think anything's wrong with them. So they're less likely to go to the doctor and get screened for it. So people like Lee are awesome because he was aware that something was going on, and he was willing to do what he needed to do to figure out what was going on and what he could do. Like he's really open and transparent about it, and I appreciate that. Like it's hard work, but he's willing to do it because he has a family, he has a wife. Like he's doing his, actually I think he's still married, yeah. And he's doing his best to be better, and even helping people in the process. Like I think it's cool. So when I was sharing videos with my abusive ex, I thought I was going to be helping him in that same way. I'll tell you what they said after I shared the video. I still forgot to say it in the video because I have a squirrel brain, but when I shared the video with them, I was asking them, have they ever heard of narcissistic personality disorder or narcissism? And they were telling me that, oh, I've heard of it, but I don't really understand it. And then in the same sentence, they said, but people are using it wrong. People don't use the word right. I was just like, how do you don't understand what it really means, but you know that when people say it, they're not saying it right. So I remember his response being kind of weird. But if you continue watching, you'll see why I got confirmation later why he probably responded like that. I know I'm still on rest. There's a whole point to all this. Anyways, I'm on Quinn's videos, and I'm looking in the comments, and I see the ex of my abusive boyfriend at the time. I see this person in the comments, and I was just like, that's crazy. That should have been my sign. But again, I don't know. I didn't know. I'm just looking through the comments, and I'm just like, looking at everybody's story. And then I see her, and I was like, oh, I know this. Well, I don't know her, but that's crazy. I wonder if she's here because of him too. Because, girl, there's no such thing as a coincidence. I was supposed to see that. I was supposed to see that she was also looking at videos, trying to figure out what she went through and trying to get more understanding about it, because I thought that was crazy. That blew my mind because it was so random. But it wasn't random. Nothing's random. Literally, I was just scrolling the comments like I always do when I watch these videos, because it feels good to read people's, experiences and see that I'm not alone, and see that, wow, okay, I experienced that same thing, so I'm not tripping. And then I saw her twice. And I was like, me today at 31, it's really sad to know that we experienced the same thing, and we were both trying to figure out what the hell was going on with us. But I brought that up because I was talking about when I was educating myself on what it is that I was experiencing. So Delaney K, the one who did Out of Darkness, she privated all her videos. She helped me a lot with what I was going through physically and spiritually and mentally. Like, I felt like my body was shutting down. I thought something was wrong with me. Like, I thought I was dying. And then the pandemic happening did not help. Okay? It did not help. Okay? I was like, oh, maybe I am. I couldn't sleep. I was full of so much anxiety after leaving that relationship, and I did not connect the two until I started watching those videos. I always felt like I was falling when I would try to go to sleep after leaving that relationship, even before COVID. I felt like somebody was trying to take my body away from me, my life away from me when I would try to go to sleep. I felt like I was being suffocated. I couldn't breathe. And I would jump out of my sleep. I had nightmares. One time I felt like I was being cursed when I was trying to go to sleep. Like, I saw a face. It was scary. I don't know how to explain it, but it was scary. I thought something was wrong with my heart at one point, like I was saying earlier. I went to a cardiologist who was so confused because I was so young. And they did an x-ray of my heart. They did an ultrasound. And he said everything was fine. He told me to enjoy my life. I needed that so bad. And I thought that was so sweet of him to say in that way. I didn't realize that when I was with this person, my sleep was trash. Well, a lot of things weren't going well for me. Like they would be going well, then all of a sudden they weren't going well. My health especially, anytime I tried to do something better with my health, specifically working out, they made me feel guilty for it. I remember one time I was talking about working out, and they were like, oh, you gonna work out and you gonna leave me you gonna get fine and leave me. You gonna, get all fit and leave me. And I was just like, what? But it got in my head. He also, I think he felt some type of way about a former intimate partner that I had who was very fit and very into fitness. And one day he was like, do you want me to start working out? And I was like, you can do whatever you want. Like, I don't care. So him saying that and then him making it seem like me working out was a bad thing, I put two and two together and was like, okay, you think you're I don't know what you think is going on, but to appease him and to put myself out of harm's way and to, reduce any risk of like tension or arguments, I literally did not work out. So I'm not saying, and it sounds like I'm blaming him for me not working out. Unless you've been in a relationship like this, it's hard to not explain certain things without sounding like you're making them responsible for all of your life choices. It's really a unique, not unique, but it is an experience I would not suggest anyone have. I felt like if I started working out heavy, I would have to deal with a lot of fights with him. One would think, then just leave. I left that relationship multiple times and we always ended up back together. The cycle of abuse is a mother, okay? I would stay on the phone even if I didn't want to, or when I was like tired or something, because I was afraid of making them mad. They wouldn't even be talking to me. Like, I would just be on the phone and they would be busy doing what they're doing. Sometimes they'd be talking, but they would just, it's like they didn't care if I was like responding. They just wanted to be on the phone talking, like hearing themselves talk. And I learned early, like, me trying to get off the phone was like a problem. So over time, when we would be on the phone, I would just stay on the phone. And over time, I realized he liked to be on the phone with me, even if we weren't talking about anything, because if he was on the phone with me, he knew what I was doing. He could see what I was doing. He would know what I was doing. He could, I guess for him, my theory is that he could keep better tabs on me. But it was just a lot. I would be stressed out thinking about them. Like in the span of this relationship, I would just be up arguing with them. And this is me referring to the lack of rest, the lack of sleep. I just couldn't rest. So it took me some time, but I eventually learned how to fall asleep on my own without medication or alcohol, because alcohol was a big issue in our relationship. And it's the best thing I could have ever did was learning how to fall asleep on my own. It was the best thing I could ever did post breakup. And in general, everyone needs rest. This was the longest one, but everyone needs rest. The whole "I'll sleep when I'm dead" thing is cool, I guess, but it's not healthy. When you get proper rest, your body and your mind are in the optimal state to operate at your best, okay?
Doing nothing else at the same
Stay
time.
here. Calm
It went
down.
down. It went down because I got the teeth. I got new teeth. New
Hey,
teeth.
You know that's stress to hear. Your body doesn't know where it processes stress the same way, whether it's induced fear, a dog chasing you, or you got too many things to do. Your body just knows stress. I'm gonna sock you out, bro. I'm gonna sock you when I see you. I'm a.
Does editing cause high blood pressure?
It's not that. It's just that Tahir has
the
so much
work.
stress. He's always having to work. His mind is always on. He never has a chance to not think or not do. And when he does, he thinks, "Oh, I got to do something else. I got to edit. I got a book." You got to just be.
Right.
Sometimes you just got to. Man, I read this book called something about energy. I sent it to here, but it was this world renowned painter. He he was sitting. He painted and then he took time off. So when he was laying down, I'm sorry, when he was painting, his assistant came in. He was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bother you while you're working." He was like, "Oh no, I'm working. I'm working. I'm just painting." She was like, "Oh, okay." And then when the assistant came back, he was resting. She's like, I can talk to you. I'm resting. He was like, now I'm working. And the book was talking about how when you are creative, the rest is where you actually get refilled and you have ideas and jokes like that. And if you don't take that, you're eventually going to be less efficient because you never give your body a chance to recover. And that's part of the work. The
Yeah.
rest is part of the work.
You think better, you respond to life's inconveniences better, you speak better, you move better, your energy is better, you're more creative, you're more focused. I don't think I ever gave my sleep hygiene that much thought until that relationship. And again, I'm grateful for that revelation. There is no valuable benefit of losing sleep to the no sleep warriors out there, especially not for or because of a man or a woman. Okay? Care enough about yourself that you're prioritizing rest and getting real hours of sleep. Okay? 8 to 10. Period. 22. Knowing and trusting yourself is the best protection. I touched on this in the previous video. When you know yourself, you trust yourself. When you trust yourself, you protect yourself. Some people want you to put all of your faith in them so that they can control you in your life, often to your detriment and to their benefit. This is why improving your self-esteem and self-trust is a form of protection. If I know who I am, I know what I want and I know what I don't want. I know what's good for me and I know what's bad for me. And if I trust myself, I'll know that how I feel or think about something is way more important than what someone else thinks. I'm not going to put somebody else's opinion or thoughts over mine. I'm going to bet on me every time. That rhymed. That rhymed. Wow. If I can trust someone else blindly because I love them or because we invested so much time in each other, why can't I do that with myself? I love me. I knew me longer than them. Okay? 23. If you're a mom, you're not only a mom. Becoming a mom can be such a beautiful transition. Some of us don't always become a mom under the best circumstances. However, we choose to show up and be responsible. Okay, that is our job. That's what we're supposed to do, right? Sometimes we can get caught up in that role, though, and sometimes not just for our children. Mothers have a tendency to end up mothering everyone, and a lot of us as mothers, we were mothering before we became mothers of our own children. Okay, like if you agree. Some of us have the tendency to mother everyone, and now our only role becomes taking care of everybody else and then neglecting ourselves. We're not just mothers. Okay, we're not just nurturers. Okay, we're not just givers. And being these things is beautiful. And having this ability is beautiful. And being willing to engage in these roles, I think, is wonderful. I think everyone should have a little bit of all of that. We just have to learn to turn it inwards to ourselves more often, though. We have to take better care of ourselves so we can lock into those other roles. At 31, I returned to college because that's something I always wanted to do. I'm finally back in school so I can advance my education and improve my life, okay, and further improve it, so to speak. So not only am I a mother, I'm a student. I'm an aspiring therapist. I can also draw, and I love to write. Clearly, because I'm reading my notes that I wrote, and I'm really proud of them. So I'm an artist and a writer. I'm a future best-selling author. I said Arthur. Y'all believe me? I'm a future best-selling author, by the way. I'm claiming it now. Okay, I can be whatever I want to be, which is my point. Like, I'm not just a mother. Okay, I can be literally whatever I want to be. And so can you. 24. I'm always doing the best I can with what I know and what I have at the moment, which is the same clue. What the hell are we playing a game? It's the same note I have from earlier in my first video. Everyone did the best they could with what they had and what they knew. But this one is for ourselves. That is something I learned that I'm doing. I'm always doing the best that I can with what I know and what I have at the moment. Just like everyone else in my life, like I mentioned earlier, I talk about this in therapy a lot. Me and my therapist return to this point a lot. I'm always beating myself up for not knowing better about certain things, especially as it relates to the abusive relationship that I was in. So many times things made sense, right? And I would leave. I should have stayed away. But if you know the cycles of abuse, it didn't always work out like that. I left that person like 7 times. No exaggeration. Could have been more. But I want to say 7. Maybe 7 at the most. I could be not remembering things correctly. It's really a blur. This is why I'm in therapy. But I know I left a few times. And I go right back to him because I missed him. And he'd apologize. Not really, but he would say and do enough so that I would forgive him for whatever. And the abuse and the cheating and the lying and the manipulation would happen all over again. It would just get worse every time I came back. And that's something I learned from my research, that when you leave someone who displays certain behaviors like that, when you take them back, if y'all get back together, they make you pay for leaving them in the first place. They make you pay. So I didn't understand why things were just not getting better. But it started to make sense why they got worse. So, and they would constantly remind me of things. And their insults got worse. Like, the things they threw in my face got worse. The things they would do would get worse. It got scary. It got to the point where I was just like, okay, I don't know what you're capable of. I have a feeling, but I'd rather just leave before. Because I got out of the mindset of wanting to figure him out, wanting to help, and wanting to be that ride or die girlfriend who's just like, we could get, because there was one time he acknowledged that he needed help. One time. I'll never forget it. It was one time. He said, something's wrong with me. He was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Something's wrong with me. I need help. Never again did he say those words. And it was, to be fair, it was after he got caught cheating. So it's like, he could have just been saying that. But another pattern I learned in this abusive relationship is after they would mess up, there was always like a small window of time where they were really honest with me. And it was so I could be lulled into a false sense of security with them. Like, oh, they're being so honest. Because I love honesty. This person knew that. This person knew me so well. They knew me so well. And I don't know if I said this earlier or if it's in my notes for later, but it's something about, this is going to sound crazy, so I want to tread lightly. Abusive people, certain abusive people, like this abusive person in particular, very intelligent, very emotionally aware to an extent. He knew me very well, except he took that knowledge about me and he used it against me. If he took the knowledge he knew about me and loved me right and didn't abuse me and didn't manipulate me and didn't try to deceive me all the time and didn't violate me, if he didn't do those things, he would have been the best lover ever, which is why I thought he was, because there were moments where he was being the person that he knew I wanted him to be. So I could, like, you know, it's like they kind of put you under the rose-colored glasses. It's like you're under a spell, like you sleep to the truth of what they are. But once that mask falls off, that's it. You can't unsee it. It's really crazy. It's very crazy. But you know, I had to learn to forgive myself for going back. Being manipulated and deceived is something a lot of people downplay. It's kind of annoying, but it's expected, because the way someone can manipulate and deceive you, they can do the same thing to the people that support them and the people that love them and care about them and the people that they're friends with. Because, of course, abusive people have friends, okay? They have family, you know? They have people that care about them, right? They're human beings. So I understood that I'm not the only one being abused. I'm not the first and I'm not the last. You're not the first and you're not the last. And you're not the only person that they're doing this to. That helped me a lot during my healing journey, understanding that, because he really got in my head about what people were going to say about me. And because I also knew that he was going to be, in which he did, telling false stories about me and making a spectacle of things when he didn't have to do that. But you know, because of how because of what I went through with them, like, I eventually, something intuitively told me, you have to learn to stop caring about what people think. That is a message I got all the time. Okay? I'm very intuitive, and he hated that. He did not like the fact that I pulled cards. He didn't like the fact that I was helping people. He didn't like that. He threw it in my face. He threw my tarot cards in my face one time. We're arguing about something completely different, and he was like, go look up that in your cards. And I was just like, what? Because at the time I had just started doing tarot readings and like making videos and helping people, and like I literally, to this, there's a woman, a friend of mine, who is married with a child, and I saw that in her cards for her, the sign of the man and all. Like, I'm not like, you know, this psychic magician, but I help people. And I thought that was dope. That's something I want to do. That's what I believe I'm here to do. And that relationship threw me off my path completely. And he didn't like the fact that I was intuitive and that I always seemed to know when he was up to something. And when I always seemed to know when something was wrong, he tried to make me feel crazy all the time. There's one story I would love to tell, but I can't. He made me feel insane, even when I was right. So when I left for the last time, I genuinely believe that the universe, that God had my back. When I left for the very last time, right before I left, like when I left officially, I was exposed to so many things that he was saying and doing behind my back to other people. And I was blown away. I did not get this information. I was like, why didn't you show me this information before? Like, you could have been showing me this, God. I could have been left, but it wasn't. It was the journey of me learning myself. It was the journey of me learning what boundaries are and learning what abuse looks like, because I did not know. Because it wasn't just about learning abusive behavior from him. Like, the behavior that he exhibited, I experienced from multiple people. Okay, I had to look into myself. There was a moment when, remember I said I was like, am I the narcissist? Again, I don't know what he is. I can't diagnose him. But there was a moment where, I'll never forget this moment, because it felt like an out-of-body experience, where we're arguing, and I have a moment where, and this is just me being transparent, because I feel like maybe someone can agree to this, or someone can relate to this, and so you could feel less crazy. There was a point where I started to mirror him and his weirdness. And I remember the exact moment I did it. I felt crazy. It was just like, it was crazy. I feel like I need to remember that whole story so I could tell it, because it's actually really interesting. I would love to understand the psychology behind it. I had never done like anything like that ever again, but it was like, I'll never forget the moment, because even he knew like, what the fuck? And I'm just like, hey, I don't know what the fuck that was. It was so weird. It was such a not me thing. It was like I was mirroring him. This was at the beginning. This was when stuff was, in retrospect, I feel like it seemed like things were at their worst in the beginning, because it was more intense, because I didn't know what the hell was going on. So the fights were explosive. But as time went on, they weren't as explosive, because I was learning. First of all, I was outgrowing the relationship, one. And I was doing the work. I had been to therapy between the time we first got together and before the last time we got together. I had been like, I wasn't doing that with him no more. He was trying to do all that. And I was just like, I can't keep doing this with you. So to bring it right back, it makes sense that I got the message all the time. The intuitive message, you got to stop caring about what people think. You got to stop caring about what people think. You can't care about what they think. That is a message I got all the time. And a part of me knew the only reason I was getting this message was because one day, or multiple days, you're going to have to deal with the lying on you, the telling stories out of context, what they call in the narcissistic abuse survivors community as a smear campaign. And one could argue that that's what I'm doing by sharing my story. It's interesting how everything you do trying to protect yourself from them is also seen as doing what they do when they harm you. So it goes back to, you cannot care about what people think about you, because there's no perfect victim at all. Like, at all. They'll find something wrong. They find something wrong with children who are victims of abuse. Like, if a child can't be innocent, no one can be innocent when we're talking about abusers. Abusers are centered in the conversation of abuse, which is why, we're making very slow progress to abusers being held accountable, but it's going to be slow, because it's just, it's sad. We live in a system that upholds abusers. It enables them. It supports them. Victims are not protected. Not really. And they know that, which is why they don't do anything about it. They don't get the help that they need. They know somebody's going to defend them. They know somebody's going to be like, well, you shouldn't have, and you shouldn't. And well, he went through this, and this happened, and that's why. But he's a sports ball player. He plays sports ball. He has a whole future ahead of him. He's trying. Well, at least he did this. It's just like there's always going to be, you know, people that support them and enable them and defend them, you know, man or woman. If you're an abuser and you have that power, other abusers are like, yeah, hell yeah. It's just like, okay, I don't have time for this. But, you know, I can't care about what people think. And you shouldn't either. You know, that should have been one of my things. Don't care about what people think. You shouldn't care about what people think. I can't control what people say or do. I can only focus on how I respond. I did the best with what I knew at the time, every time. I'm always doing the best with what I know at the time. So I do my best not to beat myself up that much anymore, because given the circumstances, I actually did better than I give myself credit for. And I'm sure you did too. 25. I am living in the blessings and positive results of the better decisions that I made in the past. The lessons I learned from my bad decisions are either happening already or have already passed. Thank you for the lesson. Be present. That is the whole thing. One morning I was driving home, and I came to the realization, I'd be talking to God in the car. I came to the realization that I worry so much about the consequences of my bad decisions, I'm not even grateful for the results of my good decisions that I'm living in right now. Like, oh, okay, I'm living in the consequence of a bad decision, and I'm beating myself up for it. But I'm also experiencing the results of pretty good decisions that I made. I previously said I beat myself up a lot because of those decisions, because of bad decisions that I make. I will look at the present and I would think, this is only happening now because I was being so stupid and naive then. And maybe that's true. However, I have been making better decisions in the last few years, okay? And those better decisions have made an impact as well. Like I was saying, we are not only living in the consequences of our bad decisions, but in the threshold of our better ones. Sometimes it just takes a couple more steps to see the full scape of the life that we're building. A few steps forward and you'll see that those good decisions are catching up to you. They're already here half the time. Change your perspective. You're probably not even realizing that you're living in the results of the good decisions that you've been making, okay? Our lives are not just a collection of bad decisions. Some of these things could have been avoided, but sometimes they couldn't have been. I know some people hate this, but I fully believe that everything happens for a reason. I'm one of those annoying people. I know. I was dumb so I could be smart. 26. I might have to stop at 26, y'all, because it's about to be 5 o'clock. And I need to start getting ready. So there's going to be 4 parts of this. I got so caught up in telling stories earlier about what I was going through in the relationship, because I felt like it was important to share those pieces of my life to really drive the message and what I learned, you know? So these videos are just going to have to be long, because I don't believe that I went through anything just because. I don't believe that I went through anything just because. I don't believe that I was in that abusive relationship just because God wanted to teach me a lesson. No, I don't believe that. I believe that I did receive lessons, but I don't believe that was it. I don't believe that I went through anything in vain. I don't believe that. I don't believe that I went through that so somebody else could feel powerful over me or over anybody. I don't believe that. I don't believe that I went through what I went through so another woman could feel like she was better than me because he was cheating with her. I don't believe that I was put in those positions to be set up as some sort of target or as some sort of spectacle or as some sort of, you know, thing to be humiliated, some person to be humiliated just because. No, I don't believe that. I do not. I'm grateful for what I went through. I'm grateful for what is to come, what has yet to come. I'm grateful for right now. Because my whole thing is, when you've been through that kind of abuse where, or any kind of abuse, it don't even matter what kind of abuse. The fuck? Abuse is abuse. When you've been through that abuse and you get to that phase where you're worried about what people think and what people are going to say, it can really stunt your growth. It can really slow you down. It really can. Like, I really was living in fear. Because this person was very worried about their reputation, to the point they were already lying on me before we ever even had issues, before we were ever broken up. They were like, because they knew they were messing up, and at some point, just in case she leave and say something, I'm gonna say something first. And I saw that for myself. I was like, we were good at this point. Why were you telling them this? Like I said, God exposed me to a lot the very last time I was with this person and tried to make it work. And I was like, oh, okay, this is why I'm getting the message that I cannot care about what people think. Got it. You really have to prepare yourself to be, it's not what they call you, is what you answer to. And you got to be prepared to just be like, okay, well, as long as ain't nobody putting their hands on me, we are great. It's okay. I don't believe that I was going through that for no reason. I refuse to believe that. My 5 a.m. alarm went off. It's usually when I wake up. But, or I try to wake up. I don't believe that we went through that for just any old reason. For no reason? No. I used to be afraid to talk about this, because they went ahead and like lied on me, and I wasn't even going to say anything. That's the thing. A lot of us aren't going to say anything because we already know the consequences of speaking up about any abuse or assault that you've been through. Like, if you've been through anything like that, you're going to have people that are just like, I believe you, what happened. But majority are just like, there's two sides to a story, and I know them. Like, they never did that to me, so I just don't think that would happen. Like, and there are people that are just going to defend abusers because they're abusers. And it's just like, I did the same shit that nigga did, bro. The fuck? Free my nigga. Like, what? I don't know. I just, like, nobody wants to deal with that. So a lot of, I don't care what nobody say. Somebody that did something that they should have got dealt with for, and they didn't. And nobody's going to say anything because everybody's going to be mad at you for saying something. Even though they did something terrible. But, and I think that's so crazy. I think that's really sad. That people get away with stuff like that. And people are going to support them and defend them anyway. So, that's why you can't care what people think. And that's why this is up to you to decide if you are a victim. No one is obligated to tell their story. But if you are someone who feels the need to do that, know that you have people like me who are going to support you. Unfortunately, a lot of our stories go unheard and looked over. But I think the beautiful thing about being transparent about what you experienced even if there are people that's gonna like challenge it or try to make your life a living hell because you said something, even if you don't say a name, you don't give details, people that try to hurt you because you want to express yourself and process your pain and navigate your healing process openly and loudly. There are people who, I forgot what the point I was going to make in the hell. I forgot what point I was making, but if that's what you want to do, you have every right to do that. Let me just say that. I got lost in my sentence. If that's what you want to do that. Being quiet about your pain it does so much more harm than good. I was quiet for a long time because I thought it kept me safe. Like, I knew it didn't, but I thought it did. Because I wasn't getting in trouble with my abuser or anybody who was going to defend him no matter what. But me being me, my personality is very much, I'm scared, but I'll do what I got to do if I need to. That's very much me. Like, I'm scared. I was scared, though, but I did what I had to do. You know what I mean? Like, but not everybody has that personality. Not everybody has that, mindset. I just don't think. There's a quote. Let me find the quote. There's a quote that I reference a lot. He says, if you are silent about your pain, they'll kill you and say you enjoyed it. And I refuse to have my story told by someone who hurt me. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather people hear from the horse's mouth. Because regardless, what's that other quote? Like, basically like the hunter and the lion. And, the lion gets killed by the hunter. And the hunter can, like, tell the story of victory. But the lion is like, what about my story? That is not the quote. That is not the quote at all. It's something like that, though. I don't need nobody telling my story. And I don't want to leave this earth ever thinking that someone believed things about me that aren't true. Like, I guess this goes back to me saying you shouldn't care what people think about you. And yeah, you shouldn't care. Also, though, you should not be silent about your pain, though. And you shouldn't allow somebody to, defame your character. And if you're silent about your pain, they'll kill you and say you enjoyed it. Like, you're not going to say that about me. You know what I mean? I don't know why I need to say that. Hopefully that helps somebody. It's 5:07. Let me see if I can get one more. And okay, I can do this. Let me see how many. Okay, I'll do one more because the one after that is long. I'll do a fourth video. 26. Exercise is one of the best things to pair therapy and shadow work with. The internet was right about one thing. Okay, they got one thing right. I won't even sit on this long because, to be transparent, I am still figuring out a routine that works for me as far as exercise. I have not fallen in love with exercise yet. Sometimes I can barely bring myself to do a workout, but I'll tell you what. It's the best natural energy enhancer ever. Because after I do work out, I always have hella energy and I get hella shit done. Shout out to that's like dopamine and adrenaline or something. I don't know. Exercise may be taking the place of sex for me. Okay, since I'm not having much of that. If you know from that was my first video that I did, or the second one. It's been 800 something days, y'all. Whatever. But that's where I'm gonna end this video because it's 5:08 a.m. and I have to get my children. I have to start my day. Something told me to go to sleep, but something also told me to record and film. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you made it this far, thank you. Subscribe if you forgot or if you haven't. If you like what you saw, if anything If you related to anything, if anything inspired you, if you're also sleepy, you should just subscribe to me. Another alarm went off because I need to get up. I am up. I need to stop the alarms. You know what I'm trying to say. I'm clearly tired. I think I'm going to come back home this morning and go to sleep. But anyways, thank you for watching. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you... What the hell am I talking about? Welcome back if you are new here. What? Peace out.